So the game over the weekend was a wild one. You guys will know that Rhett and I went to the Bills at Texans game in NRG Stadium, and it was an absolute blast. Really loved the experience there. NRG Stadium was elite. Great to be in an air-conditioned environment while watching a game. Definitely a good one to go to as well. We were both rooting for overtime, although that did not happen. Was still one of the best games of the day to go to. Probably the only one I would have preferred to go to would have been the Ravens and Bengals game. I'm sure you could probably agree with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I felt like everyone in the stadium was convinced that it was going to overtime, and
Hmm.
yet just they squandered it. They really, and is it the coaching decision probably to run the
Hmm.
ball or not run the ball rather three straight times? It's just mind-boggling. But we're gonna get past that, and hopefully the Bills do as well. It doesn't seem like Josh Allen was concussed, or maybe he was. There was a lot of raucous about that, but yeah, we're just
Hmm.
going to dive right on into Week 6 picks. We're kind of short on time today, so although last week was wild and I did horrible in my picks, let's just focus on the future for today.
Sounds good to
Thursday
me.
night football, San Fran at Seattle. Both teams started off a little stronger than they have been over the last week or so here. Seattle dropping their last two games. You could say either team could have the bounce back here, Seattle being at home maybe, but I am going to ride the 49ers. Just don't think they go to, I mean, I don't foresee them going 2-4. I mean, that would be absolutely
Yeah.
absurd. Seattle always kind of thought they would struggle this year. The defense has not been good at all for them, and I think the Niners take advantage of that, even though it's up in Seattle.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm also going to be taking the 49ers here this week, despite the fact that Seattle is a tough place to play and it's a primetime game. They certainly don't feel like a 2-4 team to me. They've got their weapons back. Other than McCaffrey, their team's pretty healthy right now. I think that they would be in position to beat a Seattle team, which is the record is a little bit inflated here because they are not as good as their record makes them appear to be.
Yeah, I agree. Jacksonville at Chicago, not really at Chicago. This is in London, but Chicago is
Mm-hmm.
deemed the home team. Jacksonville just has always been successful in London. So I'm going to take them here. Also, kind of emotional hedge betting as a Bears fan. Chicago Bears have looked a lot better than the Jaguars, even though Caleb Williams has struggled a little bit. They've struggled to run the ball at times, but over the last couple of weeks, they've looked really good. The Jaguars, although they won last week, they almost blew that game. The defense is not good. So, it could be a close one. It should be a fun game. I'm just going to ride the Jaguars for now.
Yeah, it's a good pick, bro. I'm hoping that my pick here does not come back to bite me in the butt, but I'm going to be taking the Bears here. But Jacksonville always seems to do well in their London games. They're basically the London home team. And yeah, the Bears have played better in recent weeks. So that's the reason that I'm going to be picking them here. Jacksonville's looked extremely rocky. Trevor Lawrence feels like kind of washed to me at this point. But that's really the motivation for taking the Bears here. I'm just slightly concerned with how many points Jacksonville was still able to put up last week, that they might be able to trump Chicago, but we're still going to roll the Bears.
Sounds good. Should be a good game. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. After the news that Derek Carr will be out for several weeks, very unfortunate, very sad. I'm going to take the Bucks here. Really disappointed in how the Saints played over the last couple of weeks. Some gettable games. The Chiefs didn't play amazing by any stretch of the imagination, and yet they just couldn't make things happen after those first 2 weeks of utter dominance. And now it just seems like the season's kind of chalked because Derek Carr is going to be out. They'll probably lose almost every game that he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
start, which is just brutal for my prediction that was looking kind of good.
Yeah, man, I'm also going to be taking Tampa Bay here. Spencer Rattler is going to be starting for New Orleans this week. Very hesitant on his abilities to come in and with a lot of confidence. Um, just feel like he might get a little bit rattled while he's in there. So I'm going to have to roll with Tampa Bay. But yeah, like you said, it's definitely frustrating for New Orleans after losing, Derek Carr. And they came out so strong, bro. They came out so strong, putting up like 80 some points in the first 2 weeks. And now their season is just kind of ruined. It's just not ideal for them.
Yeah, did you just make a Rattler pun? Spencer Rattler's gonna get rattled.
I mean, yeah, you have to make the pun, bro. It
I
seems
like that.
very likely that he will get rattled by the Tampa Bay
I mean,
defense.
it's strange to me though that he wasn't activated or he wasn't active as the backup quarterback against the Chiefs. It was Jake
Hmm.
Hayner. So there might
Yeah,
be a little controversy there. We'll see how that shakes out. But
there is,
next
but I
up,
think the Saints named him officially as their starter now.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, he's got to be like he's the better player. I mean, Jake Hayner's not bad, but
Hmm.
he's been kind of a backup now for a couple years and hasn't really seen much starting time. I think, Spencer Rattler can run around a little bit more. Let's see how he can, maybe he'll be the saving grace to New Orleans issues. Who knows? Maybe Derek Carr was the problem all along, but I doubt it.
I
Washington
doubt it
at
too.
Baltimore. I'm going to roll with Baltimore here. I'm not on the Washington Commanders bandwagon just yet. They've looked great. Jayden Daniels has been elite, but eventually they're going to have to regress back down to the mean. And at Baltimore, this is a tough spot. Although the line is crazy big, not that I don't really have a side as much, but I think I am going to take Washington plus 6.5. It's
Hmm.
too good of a number not to take, especially, they
Yeah.
lose by 7 and they cover. Like, I like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm with you there, bro. That's also going to be one of my best bets for the week. I'm going to be taking Washington, though. I'm not saying that I'm fully bought into them yet. I know they've got a really tough matchup here against Baltimore, but this is like the matchup right here. This is where Washington can come in and prove, hey, they are indeed the real deal if they're able to get this win here. And I just would love to see it for the team that has struggled so much in the past few years. Um, They've got a tough matchup ahead of them, but if they do, they're likely going to be favorites in most every game moving forward for the rest of the season. Being able to take down Baltimore, knowing how elite Jayden Daniels has been, this is the time for them to shine. This is Jayden Daniels' opportunity to show up to play, show what he's capable of, and I think he's going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, no, it should be a good game. I think they probably will feel a little disrespected at that line. They're like, how are we that much of an
Yeah.
underdog? How are we touchdown underdogs? So we'll see
Hmm.
how it goes. Arizona at Green Bay. Definitely taking Green Bay here despite Arizona's miraculous victory over the Niners. I just feel like they're a very fluky, inconsistent team. I mean, they come out, play great against Buffalo, then they get blown out by the Bills. That or not the Bills, the Commanders. Then they go and they beat the Niners on the road. So very inconsistent. I feel like this might be, that down week for them, and the next week they might win.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Going to be taking Green Bay here as well. Yeah, Arizona is just very inconsistent. A little too much volatility going on with their team. Um, just not sure how I feel about them, but feel like Green Bay is the better team with Jordan Love at the helm. So I'm going to be taking them this week.
Agreed. Indy at Tennessee. Tennessee's actually a favorite, which is pretty crazy, but I am willing to
Yeah.
roll with Indianapolis. Although it's not confirmed yet, I don't believe I am a believer in Joe Flacco. I hope he starts. I feel like why not? Anthony Richardson's still a little banged up. Let him
Hmm.
rest, let him get healthy. And in the meantime, why not let's be like a better football team and play Joe Flacco? I mean, everywhere he's gone over the last couple of years, he has come in and made the team look way better. And I think he does that here. I think they kind of tear up the Titans, even though it's on the road.
Yeah, I like the pick. I mean, look at what they did last week in Jacksonville. Like, I know they lost the game ultimately, but it was still a real tight matchup, bro. And
Right.
I mean, they lost by just a field goal. And Flacco is able to come in to the game and take care of business. And I expect him to do the same against a very bad team in Tennessee. So I'm rolling with the Colts this week.
Good stuff. Houston at New England, easy pick for me. Houston has just been a far, far better team than New England. New England's look completely inept, quarterback problems. They just don't have any weapons. The defense is okay, but not going to win you any games when they can't put up any points.
Yeah, dude, I'm in complete agreement with you there. It feels totally obvious to me that the Texans are going to win this game. I mean, we would be foolish to be taking New England. They haven't shown any sign of that they could potentially beat the Texans. And Texans just beat a pretty decent team in Buffalo this past weekend. So I expect they'll be able to truly pound the Patriots.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, Cleveland at Philadelphia should be an easy win for the Eagles, right? Coming off of a bye. I think the line's a little big, but I'm definitely going to take the Eagles here. Cleveland's looked another just completely inept team. Quarterback issues. We all know what's going on there. Deshaun Watson is washed. I've just been holding out hope that one day he'll have a breakout game akin to some of the stat lines he put up week to week in Houston a few years ago. But, you know, I'm just tired of waiting. And so
Yeah,
I'm
the
fully off.
weeks
Yeah.
just keep going by, and it's like, how much longer can we really hold out this hope for? Because
No.
he's just not delivering. Like, there's just
No.
not much gas left in the tank for me to feel confident enough that he's going to be able to deliver one of these games. Philadelphia is the better team. They're going to be able to beat Cleveland by, I think, a pretty significant margin.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Cleveland plus nine's not a bad bet considering how, shaky Philadelphia's looked, but
Yeah.
they very easily after the bye could come out
It
strong.
is, I think it is the biggest spread on the board here, but
Yeah.
also like Washington went into Cleveland and just took care of business. They won by
Yeah.
like 30 or
I know.
something
I
like
know.
that.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy. So
yeah.
putting any trust in them to even cover is a little psychotic,
Yeah.
but I'm going to try it this week. All right. Chargers at Denver. I'm going to roll with the Chargers coming off their bye. Denver, a team that shockingly has been very explosive, putting up a ton of points over these last couple of weeks. Their defense has been playing well, complimentary football. Bo Nix, 3 total touchdowns last week, but I don't foresee it continuing. I mean, they probably, like in a couple of years, they could be really good challenging Kansas City in the division. But right now, again, like Washington, probably going to regress down to the mean. I think the Bears will have a game like that here soon. And Bo Nix turned the ball over a couple times. Chargers coming off of a bye. Probably will have a pretty good game plan, right? I think Justin Herbert's severely
Mhm.
underrated. I think this game could be, pretty good, pretty tight. I think the over hits, and I think the Chargers get the job done.
Yeah, I like the pick. This is definitely one I was a little bit more uncertain on, but I felt like I had to ride the hot hand in Denver here. Bo Nix has been playing pretty well, but you're definitely right that regressing down to the mean is quite likely for them. I personally think that Denver is far more likely to regress a little bit than Washington. Washington feels a little bit more to me like they are the real deal,
Mm-hmm.
whereas I can't say the same for Denver here. I'm still going to take them over the Chargers just because I think they've been a little bit rocky in their first few weeks, but could definitely see the Chargers pulling away with this one as well.
Yeah, sounds good. It'll be an interesting game to watch. Up next is Pittsburgh at Vegas. Kind of just an ugly game. It was an ugly game last year, and yet it was in prime time. Don't expect much out of it. I'm going to take the Steelers still. Preseason, I took Vegas, but they have quarterback issues. Although I think everyone's a little too hard on Gardner Minshew. I mean, he started off
Mm-hmm.
9 for 9, was about to score, then throws a kind of fluky goal line pick six interception. Had they have scored, they probably could have won that game. Things might have kind of panned out a little differently. Obviously, it didn't go that way. Are they going
Mm-hmm.
to start Aiden O'Connell? Maybe we'll see. But I think, either way, Pittsburgh probably bounces back after that tough home loss against the Cowboys.
Yeah, they are officially going to be starting Aiden
Oh,
O'Connell.
okay.
So, yeah, definitely an interesting scenario going
That's
on in
that's not
Vegas.
good.
I mean, yeah, I mean Gardner hasn't played that bad. Like he
No, he's
certainly
played
could be
fine.
better,
He's a
but
gamer. I
yeah.
gotta switch
So
that in my fantasy lineup. We're in trouble here. Oh shit.
yeah. So I'm still going to be taking Pittsburgh this week. They've definitely exceeded my expectations, whereas I don't think Las Vegas has quite lived up to my preseason expectations. So for that reason, I'm going to be taking Pittsburgh.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Drake May has officially been named the starter for the rest of the season.
Yes, yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, but
Wow. But yeah, I still love Houston in that game.
for sure, yeah. I mean, I feel like Houston's bound to just rattle Drake May as well.
Wow, lots of rattling going around
I
here.
know, dude. Yeah, there's just snakes all over the place today.
All right. Next up, Atlanta at Carolina. Carolina, after that one win that I knew was coming, they're just back down to the bottom of the barrel. I think Atlanta off a couple extra days of rest, comes in, pounds them. Maybe it's a little bit of a closer game considering it's a division rivalry on the road. But I like the Falcons here. This might be the point in the season where the Falcons really pick up steam and cement themselves in the
Mhm.
division. The Saints are down and they just beat the Bucks. Maybe you're right. Maybe they do win that division that you had predicted back, long, long
Yeah.
ago. And that bet cashes for you. I mean, it looks pretty good right now, all things considered.
Well, that legs is certainly looking nice, and they've still
Yeah.
got the Tampa Bay competition to deal with. I don't feel too optimistic that New Orleans will shake things up at this point. However, the legs that are very concerning and basically are dead are the fact that I picked the Chargers to win the division over the Chiefs,
Oh, yeah.
as well as
That's,
the Bengals to win their division. So the
I'm telling
parlay
you, dude.
is
If the Bengals had won that game, they probably would have easily won the division, in my opinion, because they would have
easily.
been, yes, they would have been tied with the Ravens at 2-3. The Steelers would have just lost at 3-2. They play the Steelers twice. It would have been a clear path. And now it's going to be extremely difficult unless Lamar Jackson gets hurt.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I think it would have been an uphill battle. I don't know about easily winning the division because they've still got great competition in the Ravens in that division. But I do think that they would have finished with a better record than Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
But back to the original point here, going to be taking Atlanta this week. Uh, Definitely, they're the better team.
Hmm.
Carolina is, not really able to do a whole lot, although I'm just impressed with your ability to seemingly snipe Carolina's record every single week. It's like Carolina is the new LA Rams for you of
Yeah.
this year. It's like you strategically know when they're going to win and they're going to lose. So,
Yeah, I was good with them and the Bucks last year. This year, the Bears and the Panthers, I'm pretty sure I
mhm.
haven't missed a pick yet. But this week,
Yeah.
honestly, the Panthers beat the Falcons last year when it was in Carolina. So I don't like if I had to put all my money on one game, it probably would not be this one. But
Hmm.
yeah, I probably Houston over New England seems like a surefire bet. But hey,
Yeah.
nothing is for sure in the NFL. Detroit at Dallas, little revenge game from last year with the whole 2-point conversion drama. We all know how that went. And unfortunately, it lands on the road for Detroit here again. I really wish it was at home for them, would be a little bit more of a fair playing field. I am still going to roll with Detroit. I just think they are the more complete team. Dallas, think they've regressed since last year. They're showing a lot of cracks in the armor. They barely beat Pittsburgh. Dak turned the ball over multiple times. They let Justin Fields go up and down the field on them for a lot of that game there. And so, although it should be a decent game, I am going to take the Lions.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. I'm sure it's going to be the game of the week this week. But yeah, I'm going to be rolling with Detroit as well. They feel like the more complete team, like you said, and Dallas just has those missing pieces. They're not quite as good as last year. The fact that they're at home does give me a little bit more concern about this, but I think Detroit still comes in and is able to snag a victory.
Yeah, I agree. Cincinnati at the Giants. I'm going to take the Bengals here. I think I pick the Bengals every week except one. That's obviously not worked out great, but eventually they're going to get things going here. And although the defense has been absolutely abysmal, I mean, they've given up on average like 30 points a game. I think that eventually comes down a little bit. And while the Giants, they could definitely score, we saw that when they played Seattle. I think that should be a good game. Again, there's a lot of good games on this slate. I cannot not take the Bengals in this spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm also going to be taking the Bengals here. They've got one of their easier games, although the Giants certainly look quite a bit better than they do in previous years. But if they were able to hold their own last week against Baltimore, they should have won that game. I mean, I feel pretty confident that they would be able to certainly put up a very strong fight, if not clearly win outright against a team like the Giants. So I'll be taking the Bengals this week.
Sweet. We don't have too many different this week, but this one
No.
we sure do here. Buffalo at the Jets. Man, you know how the saying, I've talked about this before. You fire your head coach, you're all juiced up. The Jets might be pretty juiced up here. Now, I don't agree, honestly, with the decision to fire Robert Saleh. I really
Yeah.
don't. I mean, Aaron Rodgers goes out there, plays horrible, throws a pick six, two more interceptions, and then they fire the head coach. Doesn't
Hmm.
really make much sense, but obviously you can't make a quarterback change with, it being Aaron Rodgers. And I think, they could have feasibly won that game despite Aaron Rodgers. And I think a lot of that was because of the coaching. So like I said, don't agree with the decision, but hey, every team seems to be a little bit riled up after a coaching change. I think honestly, if you go back, they probably have quite a bit of a winning record, probably 60 to 70% of the following games teams win when they fired their head coach.
Yeah, that's certainly good logic there. And I agree with you that it was kind of a wacky decision. Like, there just wasn't enough sample size to fire him yet. Like, he had
Yeah.
all of last season without Aaron. So, like, it's not his fault that the season was a wash. Like, he's working with Zach Wilson back there. Like, what do you
Hmm.
expect? And then, he comes in this season and there's obviously some tension going on between him and Aaron. And so they just opt to fire him. I don't think he was a bad coach by any means. It's just, yeah, I think it was just kind of a spur of the moment, like a little bit of a whimsical decision that wasn't fully thought through. But I'm still going to be taking Buffalo this week. I think that they're the better team. I'm hoping that's not my bias seeping in, but as long as Josh Allen plays, I really feel like they would be in a good position to beat the Jets here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would like to see the Bills win, but it's one of those tough interdivisional rivalries here on the road. So all right, let's rifle through these best bets for the week here. College wise, Alabama, I think they bounced back against South Carolina minus 21. Washington, Iowa, I like the under as per usual in Iowa games. Clemson minus 20 against Wake Forest. I also like the over in that game. It feels like a 50 to 30 game or maybe 50 to 20. Rutgers minus 3, like them. They're pretty solid this year. The game I'm going to be at, Stanford at Notre Dame, I like the under. Games I go to usually are not high scoring. It's just something, that I kind of, emanate onto the team there. I also like Stanford to cover plus 23.5. That's way too many points. Trust me, I know Notre Dame's not that good. Tennessee minus 15. I think they bounce back. Iowa State minus 3. I like them. They're dominating. They're just blowing everyone out. Ball State minus 6.5. They're a pretty solid team. I don't think that's way too many points to give them, or not enough points to give them against Kent State, who's absolute dog water. Army minus 24. They've covered in every game this year. I think they continue to do so. Washington plus 6.5. That's now my NFL bet. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, no, Washington plus 6.5 against the Ravens. Green Bay minus 5. Tampa Bay plus 3.5 against Spencer Rattler, who's going to get rattled. Cleveland plus 9, like I said. Indianapolis, I think they win 2.5. I'm going to take them. Jacksonville, Chicago, I like the under as per usual. It's at 44.5. Cincinnati, the Giants, under 48. Eventually, one of these games that the Bengals play is going to go under. Their defense is very, very bad, but I think they finally show up to play a little bit. And who knows, maybe it's bad weather too. Pittsburgh, Vegas over 36.5. That's just way too low. I also like Chargers, Denver over 35.5. Just way too low for teams that, this is an offensive league. Let's be real. Cincinnati minus 3.5. Hope and pray for that one. Denver plus 3 at home against the Chargers, so I think they win, but I'm going to take Denver to cover.
Good bets, dude.
Thank
Good
you.
bets. Although I don't like when we have conflicting bets. That's always
Hey, we have
a rocky
Washington.
road. We do have Washington. Both have that plus 6.5. Feel pretty good about that one. But the
I like the over in that
Chargers,
game too.
Denver. Yeah, yeah, I have that over as well, over 52.5. These teams have been putting up a lot of points lately, so that one could soar into the 60s, honestly. I've got the Chargers in Denver under 35.5. It's the lowest line on the board this week. I think that Denver's a pretty defensive team. They seem to be able to hold
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
teams
stole
to quite
them
a few
from me
points.
in fantasy. You got the waiver claim on them over me.
I did, bro. I was hunting for the Packers, though. I really wanted the Packers, but ended up with the Broncos. I'm not even sure how that happened because you have a worse record than I do.
The waiver is just randomized.
Really?
Yeah, you have a lower waiver number than me this week. It's
Oh, it's just a
randomized week in
random
and
number
out every week. Yeah,
Ah.
yeah. I'm
Well, that
actually,
worked
yeah.
out quite nicely for me. Although I'm in the same sticky situation I was last week because now Jonathan Taylor is marked as questionable, so it says he's ineligible for my IR. So I can't
Ah,
slot in. I can't slot in Denver's defense into my defense
Mm.
spot until I drop a player. So I need either Khalil Shakir or Jonathan Taylor to be ruled out in order for me to
Yeah,
effectively be able to slot in Denver's defense.
that
So
is a sticky situation. Next thing you know, you don't start defense at all, and then you're boned.
I know that would be problematic. But my team's so good, bro. Who am I supposed to drop? I can't drop anyone.
Now I know you're 5-0, but you're facing, you got a tough opponent this week. He was talking crap about you today at work.
What does that mean?
He's like, yeah, I'm a beat Jake,
Who
No,
was
I'm
it?
just kidding. Joseph Michaels,
Uh,
but he actually wasn't. He said he's gonna lose because he's got Puka and well, no, it was Cup
mm.
and Chubb out still.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, listen to this garbage, bro. Joseph continues to send me trade offers. He sent me two trade offers again in the last
Yeah.
24 hours, the exact same trade.
Dude,
He's
he
trying.
tells me, he literally told me today he just wants everyone, like he doesn't expect you to accept it. He just wants you to send like a counter offer back.
That's just crazy behavior, though. Like the exact same trade offer within the same 24-hour period is crazy behavior. But yeah. Anyways, that's really besides the point here. We do have some fan mail here, real quick. Jimbo wrote in his picks. Seems to be our biggest fan these days, and he's outperforming the Sorcerers only marginally, but still has a couple games up on us. So he sent in early picks this week. So if you guys want to
Good.
tail someone's picks, you can tail him. But he's got the 49ers, Bears, Bucks, Ravens, Packers, Colts, Texans, Eagles, Chargers, Raiders, Falcons, Lions, Bengals, Bills. So thanks for writing in, Jimmy. We always appreciate it. We'll be sure to continue tracking your record throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, here we go. Finally, Jimmy's sending them preemptively. It's how we do it here at the Sideline Sorcerers. And that is all we have for you guys this week. Sorry for the shorter episode, but hey, it was efficient, a little more bite size. We will see you guys next week for another one. Bye now.